From the first episode of this story, we know two key facts. Most extreme heat events in Australia start in the heat engine in the northwest and move across the country. Despite what we think we know, we found out that region hasn't always been hot and dry. For thousands of years, until just 5,000 years ago, it was much wetter and greener than it is now. What else do we think we know, but should reconsider if we just look at from another angle?
Humans have been building dams to create reliable year-round water supplies for thousands of years. That doesn't mean dam engineers know all there is to know. As recently as the 1970s, bulldozers were sent up both banks of the Shoalhaven River in New South Wales to clear vegetation and improve water runoff to the newly built Tallowa Dam. You can probably guess what happened. The next big rain washed so much topsoil and debris into the dam, they had to go back and plant willow trees wherever the bulldozers had been. And even more destructive stuff-up happened in Rajasthan at the same time. The government built big modern dams on the major rivers to provide water to cities and large-scale farms. The authorities visited every farming community on the catchment rivers upstream. They were ordered to demolish the simple earth dams called johads that had been in use for countless centuries, or be arrested.
The government say, you stop our water. This is not your water. So I told, the clouds is not yours. This rains is coming in our land. We are the owner of this land, so we can conserve that water. 4 decades before I came here, that time this whole area displaced and disastrous because no water, no agriculture, no animal husbandry, just old people living here. So that time I am a medical doctor. So I treated them. One old man called Mangu Patel. So he told me, Rajendra, we not need your medicine. We need water.
तो इसलिए हम वहाँ से 86 के अंदर ही इसने काम चलाया और हमारे यहाँ पर जोड़न काम चालू शुरुआत कर दी। यहाँ से हमारे अड़ोसी पड़ोसी सब आकर के उस काम को देख कर खुश हो गए तो सब लोगों ने ये इनके संग लाया। ये बात है हमारी।
पहले पानी का संकट कैसा था वो बता दें। पहले किस बात
हाँ संकट तो अब जैसा ही था। पहले भी पानी की कमी थी यहाँ पर। लोग मजदूरी करते थे, यहाँ पर पानी कमाई नहीं होती थी। तो बाद में ये बांध जोड़ निकट बांधा तो उससे हमारे जल स्तर ऊंचा हुआ। फिर उससे हमारे यहाँ पर ट्यूबवेल इंजन वगैरह और कोई चीज़। पहले हमारे बैलों से खेती किया करते थे, अब ट्रैक्टर ही तो अभी है। हाँ, पहले बैलों से ही करते थे। वो अभी सिंचाई भी को बैलों से।
पहले खेती में आपके खेती में कितनी खेती होगी? पहले कौन को पहले बहुत कम खेती होती थी।
अब तो खेती में बहुत ज़्यादा प्रोग्रेस है, दुगनी खेती होगी। हाँ, पहले कम होती थी, अब ज़्यादा होगी।
I am using only the indigenous knowledge system and traditional design and engineering, because the traditional design and engineering is with consciousness and concern of nature and human equally. Here, if no rains continuously 2-3 years, our agriculture is going on without rains, and that is not only one place. 10,600 square kilometer area, who is before displaced, now rejuvenate, reverse migration, people enjoying with greenery, with water, with agriculture.
Harvesting monsoon rain clearly works. It worked for centuries before the johads were destroyed. Then the rivers and wells dried up. Now a dozen rivers have returned to year-round flow and countless farming communities have water for drinking and irrigation. That's how Dr. Singh became known as the Waterman of India.
कभी पानी नहीं जो हमारी शक्ति इतना, लेकिन ना हमारी उम्र है इसलिए जब से पानी कभी नहीं हो ये अब है।
What could that mean for us in Australia?
You have a good land, good rains, everything very good you have in Australia. So now you need start for greenery, for water, for soil, and that creation is possible in your country if you like, if you interested, if you can allowing some people who like this.
Could we do something similar in the heat engine of Australia to make it greener and cooler?
The heat engine of Australia is larger than Rajasthan and Gujarat combined and has similar climate and rainfall, about the same distance from the equator.
Those two states have a combined population of roughly 150 million people. That's 100 times greater than all of Western Australia.
Rajasthan has a long and successful history of water management we can either learn from or we can ignore.
What if we followed the Waterman's lead? The climate and wet season rainfall in WA is remarkably similar to Rajasthan. What if we built johads to stop the rainwater from pouring into the ocean?
Those rivers and the countless catchment rivers and streams that run into them are mostly dry. They run briefly after big wet season rains, but quickly drain all that water straight out to sea. We've been talking with traditional owners and with cattle graziers in the region who've seen reliable waterholes dry up as summers grow hotter. They are very keen to try the idea.
We can make a flow slow, so the moisture coming in the soil, and that moisture creating greenery.
That's what we've got to do, slow the flow.
There was deep erosion gully all the way down this paddock until grazier Martin Royds built weirs to catch the rainwater. After visiting his farm, I met Martin again at Warangamba Dam, just west of Sydney.
Hey Laura,
Hey Martin, thanks for meeting me here.
I'd like to start with you telling me what you know about Warangamba.
Oh, well, I know that Warangamba is part of Sydney's catchment area. It holds most of Sydney's water here, and there's been a push to raise that dam wall for a long time. Partly to hold more water when it's dry season, but also to stop the overflow as well.
14 metres they were planning to put on top, yes.
Wow. There's been so much development down there on the floodplain, building houses and industry, that if it ever did overflow, it would cost a fortune.
And the engineers have said that that is not going to work.
Okay, so what's the alternative?
There's a group called ISA, an Independent Council for Ecosystem Restoration. And they're a group of hydrologists and land care scientists. And we put a proposition to the government to have a different idea on a dam.
What's that different idea?
I don't want to turn the way that you think about dams on its head, more on its side.
Oh, I like that train of thought. What do you mean?
Well, the dam's the dam wall and the dam lake behind, but there's the catchment, and the catchment here is 9,000 square kilometres.
Wow, that's hard to even fathom.
50% of it's covered in trees, 50% of it's farming land.
Oh, so it's like your farm that I visited already.
All farms are different, but the same principles work. It's the soil carbon's the important thing. And sadly, say those forests, they've got 7 to 9% carbon in them in the soil. The farming land used to have a large amount, and we've degraded it down to 1%.
So carbon affects soil fertility, but why does that matter to a dam?
Carbon is extremely important because 1 gram of carbon can hold 8 grams of water. And so if you've got 1% more carbon back in the landscape, 1 hectare can hold 180,000 litres of water.
So do you want to make all the farmland in the catchment just like your property?
During the last drought, when the Shoalhaven had stopped flowing, my ponds were leaking out 20,000 litres a day. And if you replicated that right up the entire catchment, Sydney wouldn't have a problem for drought or floods.
And when it rains, more water soaks into the soil instead of running down here to the dam wall. And how much more water could the dam hold if it was expanded sideways and not up?
Currently the dam holds 2,000 gigalitres of water. If they raised the dam wall 14 metres, would have added another 10%, 200 gigalitres. The potential of putting 1% carbon in the entire catchment would hold 4,000 gigalitres.
4. So adding double the amount there is there now, tripling the size overall?
Yep, and as the carbon increases and the wetlands build, it gets better and better. Anywhere the water's running too fast and creating erosion can be weired up to slow the flow and help the dam.
What about the cost?
It'll cost $50 million a year for 10 years, $500 million.
Well, that's a lot cheaper than the $2 billion that they estimated to raise the wall.
Absolutely, and there's multiple benefits.
If doing it here proves that the concept can work,
Oh, it'll work. The science is proven and nature's been doing it for millions of years.
well, that means that it could be done anywhere across the country, not just cities, but in regional dams as well that struggle during times of drought and flood.
Potentially, the laws of physics, hydrology and biology are universal.
This is not a science of the calculation and equation and data. This science, a real science with sense of nature and sense of humankind. The whole nature created by soil, water, air, sun, energy, heat and space.
The world is entering a new greenhouse period. Humans have put more CO2 into the air than was released naturally after the last ice age, and temperature records are being broken over and over as a result. It's already hotter now than the peak 10,000 years ago, and it's going to get much hotter.
Next episode, we'll meet champions for the environment who'll explain how we can regreen Australia once we start to catch the rainwater and stop it running quickly out to sea.